Hi, welcome to Knowledge, Know the world of English literature. In lecture 2, we will be dealing with Old English poetry. In the last lecture, when we discussed the historical background of Old English period, you came to know that Old English period extended from 450 AD to 1066 AD, and we also saw the characteristics of language of that particular period. In today's lecture, we will be dealing with Old English poetry. So, beginning with Old English poetry, before moving to each poem, I'd like to introduce you the literary characteristics of Old English poetry. Old English language, as you all know, is a precursor of modern English, and mainly during this period, the songs and poems were mainly in oral form, and it is believed that they started writing in 733 AD in 733 AD. And among those writings mainly contains epics, lyrics, etc. And this is a particular term that you should remember in this, and that is scope. SCOP. SCOP. Scope. Scope means one who discussed social and cultural values in their works. One who discussed social and cultural values in their work. So those who write about social and cultural values, those writers are known as Scop. Christian ideals were popular and Germanic heroic past were also discussed in these poems. And now moving on to the features. The first main feature is caesura. You might be familiar with the term caesura. The spelling is Caesura. Caesura means a pose. A pose made in the middle of the line. This is one of the most important or striking feature of Old English poetry. And the second feature is alliterative verse. Alliteration was one of the most common feature in Old English poetry where they repeat certain sounds in each line. And the third feature is kennings. 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 Kennings means the use of compound words for representing certain other things. Like in order to represent human body, they will use bone house. The human body is made of a lot of bones. So they instead of saying our body, they will say bone house. Or instead of directly addressing sea, they will say whale road. Okay. Whales usually travel through sea. So instead of directly telling sea, they will write it as whale road. So like that, compound words are used in Old English poetry, and these compound words are known as kennings. And prose developed only during the latter section of the Old English period due to Christianization. And Christianization in England began with the coming of Saint Augustine. Okay, Saint Augustine in 597 AD, he landed in England, and only after the coming of Saint Augustine, Christianity was spread in England. And this helped in the spread of the concept of abstract ideas. Okay, helps in the spread of abstract ideas. This was somewhere asked Saint Augustine's contribution. Okay, abstract things, they started to think about it. And now, moving to the poems of Old English period, the poetry of Old English period can be divided into three: heroic, Christian, and lyric. Heroic, Christian, and lyric poetry. Coming to heroic poetry, of course, the most important one with which you will be all familiar with, that is Beowulf, the epic poem. It's about the adventures of person named Beowulf, Beowulf, and this happens in the place of Denmark. Beowulf actually belongs to southern Sweden, and he moves to Denmark to help the king Hrothgar, Hrothagar, to save his country from the monster called Grendel. Then he kills Grendel. In the later attack, kills Grendel's mother also. Then Beowulf becomes the king of that country. He rules the country for more than 50 years. Then again another dragon comes. He tries to kill it, but what happens? He was mortally wounded and he dies. And the epic poem ends by how people cremates his body and erects a tower in the highlands. And like the features that I have already discussed, Beowulf contains alliterative verse, stressed poetic lines without rhyme. And one thing that you should remember is there's a modern translation of Beowulf, which was Beowulf was translated in the year 1999 by the famous poet Seamus Heaney. Seamus Seamus Heaney, Heaney. So Seamus Heaney has translated the Old English Beowulf into modern English in the year 1999. Please do remember this data for UGC NET exam. And then there is another work called On Translating Beowulf. It was written by J.R.R. Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien. And William Morris has also written about Beowulf. William Morris has also written about Beowulf. And the full title of this epic is The Lay of Beowulf. L-A-Y, lay. The Lay of Beowulf. And the word lay means song. Lay means song, and it contains 3,200 lines. 3,200 lines. And Beowulf also uses kennings. What is kennings? The compound of two words. Okay, so that is regarding Beowulf. Now, moving to the next heroic poetry, that is Walder. Walder. And what is Walder? It talks about the Walder of Aquitaine and Hildsgith. W-A-L-D-R, Walder of Aquitaine. A-C-Q-U-I-N T-A-I-N-E, Aquitaine. Okay, so that much is just enough for you. And the next heroic poetry is Fight at Finnsburg. And the hero in this particular poem is Hnaf. H-N-A-E-F. H-N-A-E-F. The next one is Widsith. The word Widsith, the meaning is important. Do remember this. Widsith means far traveler. So, in the introduction of this lecture, I have told you about a term called Scop. And who is Scop? One who talks about cultural and social values in their works. So Widsith is such a poem, whereas Scop talks about the heroes who existed in Europe during the heroic age, all the different heroes. And the word Widsith means far traveler. Now moving to after the heroic poetry comes the lyric poetry. In lyric poetry, we have some of the poems that we got from the Exeter book. I hope you remember regarding the Exeter book, the different 4 manuscripts that is available about the Old English. And those major poems are the first one, Wanderer. And Wanderer is about an old man who talks about an attack that happened in his youth. And the second one is Seafarer. And this is somewhat important. Why? Because it is just about a sea voyage. The title is Seafarer, F-A-R-E-R. It's about a sea voyage, but what matters for us is regarding a modern translation of this poem, Seafarer, by the American poet Ezra Pound. So Ezra Pound has made a translation of Seafarer. Now, the third one is Wife's Lament. Wife's Lament. W-I-F-E apostrophe S. Wife's Lament. It is about the grief of a female. Next one is Deer's Lament. D-E-O-R apostrophe S. Deer's Lament. Deer is the name of a singer in Lord's Hall. L-O-R-D-S. Lord's Hall. H-A-L-L. Hall. But he was banished from Lord's Hall, and he sings about his sorrow, Deer's Lament. And Deer's Lament, note that the refrain in Deer's Lament is very famous. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. And the next lyric poem is Husband's Message. Okay, so it's a message given by a husband to his wife once the war is being ended, and he sends a message carved in wood to his wife, and that is Husband's Message. And the last one in Old English poetry is Christian poetry. In Christian poetry, the first one main important writer is Caedmon. C-A-E-D-M-O-N. And it is believed that he is a young shepherd who was not able to sing. And in monastery, people refused to give the harp to him. Okay, and in a dream, he got the power from God to sing, and he wrote Caedmon's hymn. And Caedmon is also known as Anglo-Saxon Milton. Caedmon is also known as Anglo-Saxon Milton. And Cadman's hymn is the earliest poem in English recorded in Bede's Ecclesiastical History of English People. Earliest poem, the first vernacular poem, the first Christian poem recorded in Bede's Ecclesiastical History in English. Then, of course, Bede comes, Bede, Bede, and his work is Ecclesiastical History of English People, and it is written in Latin, and it is believed that it was translated into Old English by King Alfred. So Bede wrote this work in Latin. It was translated into Old English language by King Alfred, and it's about Cadman mainly and the development of Christianity. And the next one is Cynewulf. Who is Cynewulf? The first person to sign in all his works. Juliana, Elena, Christ are believed to be his works. And one of the most important works that is believed to be written by Cynewulf is Dream of the Ruth. Dream of the Ruth. R-O-O-D. Ruth, the word I actually told in the last lecture, Ruth means cross. So like dream of the Ruth, dream of the cross. In a dream, the narrator is speaking to a cross, and believed that he is speaking to the cross where Jesus Christ was crucified. And Dream of the Road has three main sections. The first section is known as Vision of Cross, where the cross gets a vision from Jesus. Okay, the second one, in the second section, the cross talks about Jesus' death, how Jesus was crucified and all those, and the passion of Christ, all those things that the cross describes in the second session. In the third one, it is the author's reflection about the vision of the cross. Author's reflection, or the narrator's reflection about the vision of the cross. So that is the main important poem, Dream of the Ruth, believed to be written by Cynewulf, but there are certain arguments against that also. So who made the translation of Bede's Ecclesiastical History? King Alfred. And King Alfred, we'll be dealing him in prose section. That's why I'm not telling much detail about him. In the next lecture of Old English prose, we will be dealing with King Alfred the Great. Okay, thank you.